And so he was like, let's all go to the meat sea. And Casey and I are like, let's not go to the meat sea. We don't want to go to the meat sea.
I can reach for a well-worn book to give me an escape.
Hello friends, welcome to another video. The first video in a long time with both of us in it. Technically, we thought we filmed one before this, but it's not up yet, so this is the first one for you guys.
First one. Yes,
We faked ourselves out.
Today, I don't know what to say anymore. Today, we are doing
so long.
We're doing a spoiler-free review and then some spoilery discussion thoughts for Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah, for the first however long it takes us to talk, which is not going to be long, about our spoiler-free thoughts, and then we'll let you know when we're going to get into spoilers. So if you haven't read Tress of the Emerald Sea yet and you just want to know our thoughts, the first few minutes here are safe for you, and then we'll kick you out and go full spoiler madness. So, spoiler-free thoughts. It's perfect. That's all you need to know. Oh no, it's very cozy. It's very fun, cozy, heartfelt fantasy. It's very fairy tale-ish. It really
Very fairy tale.
it's so different from anything you've read from Brandon Sanderson. I'll tell you that right now. It's very different style-wise, but it's so fucking good. So good. It's so good. We don't know how to do things anymore.
No, it's fine. It has like every hallmark of like a classic like cozy fantasy, but also to me it has like the most middle grade vibes that an adult book has ever had. Like don't get me wrong, it's an adult book, but it has those middle grade vibes that like sometimes you just want. And it's so much fun.
It also like perfectly follows like the structure of the hero's journey like to a T.
Yeah, it really
but
does.
like it's just so fun.
It's so fun.
It's very fun. Also, there's so much art in the book. So like if you're reading it through the audiobook or whatever, make sure you go like look at the art. All the art is on Brandon's site. If you go like look at his tab that says like art somewhere, it's in one of his tabs, then you can like go to Tress of the Emerald Sea and see all the art. But I would suggest not doing that until you've finished the whole book, because it will spoil you for things in the book. So if you're doing the audio, I would just wait till you're done to look at all the art.
We talked about how different it is, but like the writing style of it is like completely different from how Sanderson normally writes, and it just works so well.
It's completely different, and it works so well. It's such like a fun surprise, because like again, most people haven't had a clue what they're getting into with this, because the secret projects have been like so secret. And I think that adds to like such the fun of it. Like we had no idea really anything about Tress. We didn't read like the preview chapters, which weren't even like done being edited. Like he posted those before he'd done like final revisions and stuff. We didn't read those, so like we went in completely not knowing anything other than like the title, and that was it.
That was it.
And I'm glad we didn't know anything. I think that made the experience even more fun, especially with like the different style. Like that was such a surprise.
Yeah, and it was just so much fun, and I definitely understand why people online have been saying like this is their new comfort read, because it definitely has that feeling of like I would just go back to reread this just to have like
I already can't wait to reread it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely a comfort read. A lot of people I've seen say that it's their new favorite Cosmere book, so very high praise. It's top tier for a lot of people. I've noticed when I was going through some stuff last night. So there's our spoiler-free thoughts on Tress of the Emerald Sea. So if you haven't read it or finished it, get the fuck out. Because we're about to get real spoilery up in here, and trust me, you don't want to be spoiled. It's so fun.
You don't want to be spoiled. It's so fun. Leave. Come back later. And that has spoilers in it. Please put like spoilers at the top, and then put a few spaces like enter, so that it will put it behind like the show more button.
Yeah.
So
that's
you don't
that's
accidentally spoil
I always
anyone.
forget to point that out. Yes, good job, Casey, having the brain cell. Right, spoiler time for those who've read and finished the book and know everything. Fucking Hoyd is telling us the best little story ever, and this is my favorite thing that's ever happened to me personally.
It's so good.
Like, Hoyd is telling you the story. This is the whole book. He's telling you this story. He's in the story. He's a character in the story he's telling you. And it literally feels like he's telling you a story. Like, obviously he's telling it to someone in the world, and you can gather that from, like, the things he's saying. But it feels like he is telling the reader this story, which is, like, such a magical experience. And I've never read anything that feels quite like this.
No, it's a very unique feeling. And also, like, I know there's an audiobook, but I really hope they do the graphic audio, because so we get that voice actor doing it. Like,
Casey, it's gonna be so good. I really hope we get graphic audios of these, at least of this one. I don't know like how the other books are gonna be, but with this style, I want the graphic audio so bad. If you're someone who's loved Hoyd's stories in Stormlight, it's this but like times 10. because you're getting like a whole story told to you, not like a paraphrased tiny little version, and it literally feels like it's being told to you, and it's like your own little story time with Hoyt, and it's just so good.
Yeah, it's a whole book length of story, so like
it's a full book. Yeah, I'm obsessed. I want so many more of these.
Me too. I want just like a Hoyt story a year, please. Like, help me with my brain.
Literally. Like, I would be so happy if we got more books like this where it's like Hoyt telling us another story, but it's like in a book form, because it just is so good.
So good.
So good. Some people in our Cosmere Discord were saying that it took them some time to like get used to like the voice of Hoyt and like his like humor and stuff at the beginning, but like it worked from like the fucking start. Like page 1 sentence when it worked for me, and I loved it the whole way through. I wasn't like, oh, this humor is grating, which I think somebody said it was like a little bit grating. It took them time to get used to it, and I was like, no, this is just, I loved it. It was perfect for me.
I think we also have very similar humor though to like what is happening in this story, so like it just clicked for us.
The things that like Hoyt's like making jokes about and like making fun of and pointing out and stuff in the storytelling process, and then like the things happening in the story that are like humorous, like those things were all funny to me. Like they all landed. So yeah. I guess it also just depends on like your style of humor, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, like the fucking Dougs. The fucking Dougs was the funniest thing I've ever read in my entire life.
That's my favorite thing. And also, one of my favorite things, I didn't actually put this in like our notes and stuff, but is like that moment when one of the Dougs dies and like Hoyt pulls back from the story and is like, yes, like I said, that these are all background characters and they don't matter, except they do. And I'm just like not focusing on them, but this guy died and let me tell you about him. And I love that. He like pulls back to like tell you about the guy who died, and it like makes you have a feeling for this character who like really didn't like exist before, and you're like, oh my god. Like I love that, because it makes the story feel so real, because it's like, okay, these people aren't really playing a big role in the story I'm telling you, so like we're not going to mention them. And it's like, okay, except this one died, so let me tell you a little bit about him because it was a real person in the story. It's like, I loved it.
I loved it so much.
So much.
Me too.
Also, shout out to my t-shirt real quick, my Hoyt for President t-shirt. If you're wondering where I got this from, go back and watch my Hoyt February unboxing video. I'll link it in the description. Yeah. Like a whole pirate adventure. Which is so good. I never think that that's like the sort of thing I'm gonna like until I'm like reading it or watching it, and I'm like, man, fucking pirates.
I love pirates.
I love it. Give me fucking just sea adventures, except it's not an ocean sea. It's a fucking magical spore sea. Like,
it's such an interesting idea.
It's so interesting. It feels very Sanderson. I will say the magic system and the world building feels very Sanderson. The writing style and like the storytelling style, very different from what we've seen from him. It still feels like Sanderson, but it's very different what you've seen from him. But like the world building, I'm like, yeah, this is him to a T. This is exactly what like I expect going in. I didn't expect this, but you know what I mean, like the feel of it and like the richness of the world and the magic.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, this is a Cosmere novel. We are in the Cosmere. Weird shit's happening in this little magical, dangerous spore ocean. Yeah. All right, Hoyt he's in the story and he's cursed because he's lost all his senses, except not like actual like taste. It's like taste in fashion and things like that, and like sense of decorum and things like that. And it's so fucking funny.
It's so funny the whole time.
Like, Hoyt's telling you the story, and in the story, he's cursed and is, like, a complete idiot and, like, can't, like, communicate properly, and, like, he's just, like, a little simpleton. And so, like, he's telling you the story and telling you something, and then he, like, steps back out and, like, makes fun of himself and, like, remarks on the things that he's doing in the story, which is really great. And it's, like, Hoyt, like, you've never seen him before in the story, and it's so fun.
And it's so interesting to watch him trying to, like, fight it, to have, like, a moment of clarity, to be like, listen, this is important.
Yeah, it really, really is. It's just so well done. We got a talking rat, and Casey and I had different I guess, initial approaches to the talking rat, which was me was like, we're in the Cosmere, and there's a talking rat. That's weird. And then I was like, okay, sure, and rolled with it, and Casey was just fine with it from the get-go.
Yeah, I was like, this tracks. Like, I mean, there might as well be a talking rat. Like, I don't have any questions. I just like, from, like, the Cosmere's perspective, and when I watched the Shardcast reactions, like, they all said the same thing. They all had kind of, like, a moment of being like, talking rat, Cosmere, like, trying to figure out, like, what the fuck this is like, what kind of investiture is doing this, like doing the big Cosmere thinking, and that was me. I was like, okay, how is there a talking rat in the Cosmere? And then I was like, you know what? I don't care. And then I just moved on and rolled with it. And it worked really well. Oh my God. I was like, there's a talking rat. We've seen another rat just recently in Lost Metal. Maybe that rat talks. Like, that was my only thought. I didn't even connect
Sir Squeakums to Hook. I did not make that connection. My brain wasn't that big that day. See a Cosmere dragon on screen in dragon form for the first time. We know that dragons exist in the Cosmere. We've technically met one. They're shapeshifters, so we've not actually seen a dragon in dragon form. before, which is very interesting. I liked him.
I liked him too.
Zysis, is that how you say it? Zysis?
I think so. Something like that.
I love that when Captain Crow takes Tress to the dragon, she like completely turns around on him, which is like what I was hoping would happen. Like, so many things in the book feel predictable, but it's done in such a good way, and like they all land, and it's not like, oh, I predicted this and so it's boring. It's like they're following the notes of the story like that they should be. Listen, and it's working well, and it's landing.
People have this weird thing where a book being predictable is a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It means the writing is working how the writer wants it to work.
Exactly. Like, people being able to pick up on foreshadowing and like predict what's going to happen is like usually an intentional thing in writing. You're supposed to be able to do it. Like, it's not like someone who didn't is stupid, because like it's supposed to be vague enough that like some people won't, but like there so that some people will. And it's just, if you did, it's like, okay, you're paying enough attention to the details that are laid there for you to figure out. And yeah, a lot of people think that's a bad thing. That's not how it works. Not a bad thing. That moment when she says to, like, she just like says the thing to the dragon, and she's like, oh, I have brought this person here for you as like exchange for this, and then the dragon goes, what? And Crow goes, what? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
You tell him, Tress. It was just like exactly what I wanted from that scene. It was so good. I love how, like, even when she was like learning about the spores and like accepting them and understanding them and like all this stuff, she's still like, I'm so afraid of the spores. Like, everyone thinks I'm not afraid of the spores, and I'm afraid of the spores. But it's like, yeah, but you're like doing things with the spores. And it's like, if anybody else in this world that we've seen even like had that much courage to do that, like they would be learning these things too. Because like the note that you added like later in about like how like we don't know how many people like know how the spores even work because they're so afraid of them. It's like, if like you just tried, because like that's all it took was her just like looking at some shit and trying and like being forced into a situation where she had to work with spores, and then like making herself comfortable with it enough to like actually learn how to fucking like control them. Like,
yeah. And it's like, you know, like, it's interesting to me that they are so scared of them, because as soon as she realizes that, like, I mean, they know the whole time that, like, it's water that triggers the spores.
Yeah,
but, like,
they know that.
As long as you're being careful, like, you have, like, a mask on and goggles, like, you're gonna probably be fine. It's not like they're, like...
Yeah, and you even see that with, like, the job of, like, a sprouter. Like, that's how, like, their job is to, like, learn to control them and stuff. And, like, so, like, clearly people know that you can, but people are so afraid of them that, like, I guess, like, the sprouter job is such, like, a dangerous job, and it's so rare that people, like, don't want to do it. But it's, like, I feel like if I was in that world, like, I would want some kind of level of experience if it's, like, that dangerous, like, on a daily basis in your world, that I would want to know how to safely handle myself around them, so that way if I'm in a situation where I have to, like, I'm not going to immediately die. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, I feel like it should just be, like, a common thing where it's, like, everybody gets a little crash course in spore handling, you know? Like, if your whole world is made out of these dangerous spores, I feel like everyone should learn how to
I mean, maybe other people do that. I mean, they don't want people to leave the island, so maybe they purposely don't do that.
Yeah, that's true. And we did have, like, at the end with the sorceress being like, oh, you invented your little, like, your spore gun thing. People on other islands are doing that all over the place, and you're just behind. So it's like, clearly there probably are places in the world where people are doing this, and we're just seeing this, like, narrowed perspective. But, yeah, at the end, so I had this thought at the end. First of all, by the time we get to the sorceress place, and Tress is there, and we get handed, like, fake Charlie, I was already considering the fact, I won't say like I predicted it, but I had considered the fact that the rat was Charlie. But I wasn't like 100%. So I wasn't like, oh, I think this is what's happening. I was like, this is a possibility. That's what my brain was doing. But I wasn't like nailing it home because I didn't want to be wrong. Because I don't want to be like embarrassed. Like, I was so sure the rat was a person and like be wrong. But I had the thought. But there's this moment when like she's walking out with fake Charlie and she's like, yeah, okay, this seems like Charlie. This is the Charlie I remember. But I'm so different. I have changed so much on this journey. And like in that moment, I think it's like, I was like, oh, okay, so like, is this really, we're just like going to go home with, like, this is Charlie, we're going to go home with him. And like, they're not going to end up together, which would have been really interesting because it's like, okay, but I'm not the same person. So now this isn't what I want anymore. And like, I would have liked that. Like, that would have been such an interesting twist. But like, I like that it was turned in the fact that she was like, no. He's been held captive by this evil sorceress. He's been through shit too. He would not be the same. Like, this is the same Charlie I remember, and this cannot be who Charlie is now. Like, it just can't be. That's not how things work. That's not how people function. And that's like what triggers her to realize, like, this is not Charlie, and she's been tricked. And it's just like so well done. Like, I loved that moment so much. Like, I liked that it could have gone in this direction where she's like, oh, she's just grown so much that like this is no longer what she wants, which would have been interesting. But I like that it was like that's what made her realize like this is not Charlie, and it was so good.
Yeah. Like, as soon as you see him...
I didn't really for a second believe, like, that was Charlie. I'm not gonna lie. For a moment when she was like, all you have to do is leave the cups and you can go with Charlie. For a moment, I was like, is Charlie a cup? I'm not gonna lie. Because the thing, I was like, okay, I think she has what she's looking for. Like, I was already under that assumption, so that's why I was considering Huck as Charlie. But I was like, literally, what if the last cup that was sent to her, like, Charlie got turned into a cup from the sources, and then it was sent back to her, and he's just the cup. And because, like, she was like, leave the cups, and you can take Charlie. And I was like, is Charlie a cup? I'm not gonna lie, my brain went there. I might be the only one.
You went full as dressed in a trunk on us?
I did, but you know what? It was plausible. He was the rat. He was turned into something. I wasn't far off. And I'd considered that first. I already thought he was the rat.
Cup.
Same size. He fits in a cup, okay? Yeah, no, I predicted the Huck thing. There's this moment when Hoyt's telling the story, and he takes a moment to think about how amazing it is that Tress first comes to a conclusion about Captain Crow. She has an assumption, and then she's like, I shouldn't jump to conclusions just because I think this is what's happening. And she's like reassessing. She's like, I should think about this. And he's like going on this like monologue about how like fucking great it is, and how great it would be if like all the heroes and stories could do this. And he's like, you probably want to read a story about like a hero who does this, who like fights a dragon, and we'll see that later, but don't get ahead of me. And he's like, you probably want to read about, Linji, who traveled the world without an AVR and things like that. But this isn't that kind of story. And he's like, how many stories would be, where's the fucking, I put the quote in here, where'd it go? Here it is. Okay. So he's like, do you know how many people or how many protracted adventures might have been shortened if the heroine had stopped to wonder, maybe I should look extra carefully to see if the thing I'm searching for has been with me the entire time. This is the last line of that like monologue he's going on. He does like 3 of these where he's like, oh, like maybe I should like check and see if like the heroine actually likes me before I like do this thing, or I should like do this before I go on this adventure. Like this is the last one in that section, which made me think, okay, she's looking for Charlie. Charlie's here. Charlie is here. Like, he is not there. He is here. And then, like, you have the moment of Hoyt continuously being like, you have everything you need. He said it, like, 2 different times, trying really hard to get that thought across to her. So I was like, okay. Somehow, she already has Charlie. And I was like, is he the rat? And, like, I didn't really have the cup thought until literally the sorceress was like, leave the cup. And I was like, is he a cup? So I was very much on the Huck is Charlie train.
It is weird that she wanted the cups. Like, it's strange of her.
I was like, why ask for the cups, though? I guess because, like, the cups have sentimental value for Tress, so, like, I guess just, like, yeah, I don't know. The person I love for, like, a cup I kind of like a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what that fair trade is, but yeah, so, like, I did call the Charlie thing, but, I do know that a lot of people, like, in the Shardcast, it was, like, half of them called it a little bit before, and then, like, half of them didn't call it at all, so, like, I feel like it's just if you did, it's like you picked up on stuff, and if you didn't, it's not like super obvious until like right when you're kind of leading up to it.
Yeah, I realized it just as like she's walking away with the fake Charlie. I'm like, oh, that's not him. He must be the rat. And I was like, okay.
Okay, he's the rat.
Sometimes you're a rat.
He's the rat. Oh yeah, but I was like, if there's a boy inside that rat, I swear to God.
I swear to God.
And then we get to like the final fight, and I saw one of the people on Shardcast talking about how they didn't like that Tress like kind of gets sidelined in like the final like showdown or whatever, but I love how that whole thing played out, because like there's no way she's like winning an actual like fight against an Elantrian god. By the way, the sorceress, fucking Irie Elantrian from Secret History, she's not like, she's clever and she's come up with some cool shit and she's gotten them there. Like she's managed to do so much, but like that's not like a fight she can win. It's just not. And so like if she had, I would have been like, this doesn't make sense. It would have been like pushing it for me, and it would have taken me like out of like the realisticness of the story that's being told.
Yeah, because she's learned a lot, but she has not learned like enough to get to there.
Yeah, exactly. And like what we have seen her learn, like she gets everyone there. She gets Hoyd there and breaks his curse, and she's able to like do all these things. Like she comes up with her little invention thingies, and like that's what gets everybody able to do the things that they do that lead to like freeing Charlie and like freeing Hoyd from his curse and sending the sorceress away. Like she does all these things. That's her. So like she doesn't need to play a role in the final fight, but her hero moment for me is when she asks for help. Like it's the most beautiful moment in the whole fucking book for me, because she spent this whole time like, when you first meet her, she like feels like so like inconsiderate if she's even like asking a question. Like she's inconveniencing people, and she's like she doesn't even want to ask questions, let alone like ask for help. And like all this time, like when the people are her, she's making friends with her, like wanting to help her and stuff, she's like trying to protect them. And like she has this realization, like they have the right to choose if they want to help her, just like she had the right to choose like to go after Charlie because she loves him and she wants to help him. Like she can't take that choice away from other people. Like that's not right. And then to like actually have the courage to be like, yes, I need help, please come help me, I want you to come help me. Like that's her fucking hero moment, and it's beautiful, and I loved it.
It's very good. Like I get like I just feel like people want like this strong female heroine to like be fighting, and I'm like, no. You don't understand how hard it is to ask for help sometimes.
That's her fight. Like that was her internal struggle, and she overcame it at the end. Like that's her whole fucking, like I loved it. I was so proud of her.
Good. It's such a good
like
moment.
That moment, yeah.
We also in that moment we get a rat in a cup going down the stairs.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I love that, like, he gets in the cup and the cat, like, baps him, so that's what shoots him down the stairs really quickly, and, like, he's able to open the door, and then Hoyd comes in in his beautiful attire. By the way, if you've looked at the art, the fucking floral shirt has Marewell flowers on it.
It does.
Look closely. I see you, Sanderson.
I see you in your Hawaiian shirt.
I see you.
That we did not get an art of Huck in his tiny pirate hat, and I am offended.
We did not get that, yeah. Fucking Aethers. Aethers are here.
Yeah, that's how we feel about it.
That's just how I feel about that. Just leave me alone. If you're not like a hardcore Cosmere fan, and you don't know why like Aethers showing up are a big deal because you don't know what the fuck the Aethers are until now, we've been hearing about Aethers from Brandon for a very long time. And there's an old, you can still find it like somewhere. You have to like email somebody to get it, but like an old book that's an unpublished, like a no longer canon version called Aether of the Night that Sanderson wrote. I haven't read it, but Aethers have been in his brain as a magic system for a very long time within the Cosmere, and we've heard a lot about it. And our first glimpse of Aethers, if you read Lost Metal, we see something related to the Aethers Lost Metal. And now we see a whole bunch of Aether shit. What we do know is this is not the Aether homeworld, this planet called Lumar. Not the Aether homeworld, but Aethers are shitting everywhere. I have so many questions about how this is not the Aether homeworld, yet there's moons full of Aether shit, and they're shitting down on this planet.
There's 12 moons. That's so many moons shitting so many different kinds of Aether nonsense. And yes, we're calling it shitting because that is what's happening.
They're shitting all over the planet, okay? Don't it's true. And so like, we there's 12 or 13 Aethers. We're not, they say 12 and then someone says actually 13 and we don't get really clarification on what that means, so there might be 13. But there's 12 different moons and 12 different seas being affected by the different Aethers. So there's 12. We only hear about 6 of them, but we only physically in the book see 3. Personally, I want to know about all of them. I'd like to see all of them.
4. We see the Zephyr one, the air one.
We don't see the sea, is what I'm saying. We don't actually see it.
Oh, no, we don't see the sea, but we see, like, the effect of the sea.
Yeah. But we didn't actually go there, is what I'm saying. I wanted, like, I want to see each one. Go to each place, is what I'm saying.
See each one?
Yeah, see the sea. You start in Verdant, go through Crimson, and then get to Midnight. But it's a lot, and I want so much more of this world. Like this planet is described as like a little backwater planet. It has like no, what's the word I'm looking for? It has like no impact on the wider Cosmere. In technical terms of like the bigger Cosmere and like the big plot shenanigans that we know about and like the big magics that we know about, like it doesn't matter apparently. As from what we've gathered, but I want to see so much more.
It's so cool.
I want to see so much more. Like, I want to see more of this world, more of how this, like, the Aethers work here. I just, like, it's just so interesting. So, like, I have a feeling we probably won't get more of this world.
The way we could see more is if we see the Aethers on different planets, like someone is like using them for something, and I don't want to see the flesh one. The meat flesh one is the sea I would like to see the least.
Let's not go to the meat sea. I don't want to go to the meat sea. Literally, as we're like learning about these, and Justin got ahead of us and was like, "Oh, these seem to relate to the essences of Stormlight," and it's not like a complete one for one because also there's only 10 of those. But they're similar. There's the essence that's for flesh, and so he was like, "Let's all go to the meat sea." And Casey and I are like, "Let's not go to the meat sea. We don't want to go to the meat sea."
No.
And they also said that on Shardcast. I think it was Ian who brought up like the meat sea, and I was like, okay, Justin was the only one whose first thought was, "Let's go to the meat sea." Like.
Listen, there has to be one chaotic friend in the group that's like meat sea, so the rest of the friends can be like, fuck no.
Exactly. I just want so much more of this plan, but I don't think we will because of like the way that we got this world and how it's like, I feel like it's going to be contained to this. But I do think that we will see, I mean, regardless, I know we're going to see Aethers probably in the same form that we saw it in Lost Metal later on, but I don't know, I assume we'll also see them in this way. Later on, somewhere.
Because it's fun.
Even if it's just like small details in the background. I really hope so, because it's very, very fun, very interesting. I was going to go through all of our Cosmere connections. So, first thing, the Iriali, Stormlight. They were here, they vanished, and I'm just like, sure, okay, fine, whatever. I'm like that meme, like, I guess.
I guess.
Such a visceral reaction to Iriali. Like, everything after that was, like, a little less, because the Iriali that was the first one, I think, the first Cosmere thing we saw.
Yeah, that's the first
thing. The Iriali, and I was like, excuse me?
One gave me a visceral reaction. I'll mention it when we get to it, but...
Yeah, I was just, like, so fucked up by the first one, the Iriali, because of the context we get of it is like, oh, like, they vanished. They were here and they vanished. And I'm like, sure, okay. And, like, because of this, it made it, we were so confused by the timeline, and I still, like, I'm pretty sure now that this is very much in the future of the Cosmere. But at the time, I was like, where the fuck is this taking place? Because the area, like, Stormlight's not in the like, where we're at in Stormlight's not the future of the like, it's a little bit middle. So I don't know. It really confused us. Best Condra ever, Ulam. He's amazing.
I love him.
Honestly. He's so weird. He's so good.
He's so weird. I don't know what about him, but he's just doing, like, the most, but also nothing at the same time.
Literally. The most, but nothing. That's Ulam to a T.
Yeah.
I love it.
Love him.
Yep. We have the Awakened Translating Board. Sup, Nalthus? How's things going?
Sup? What you doing?
How advanced are you right now? Because we haven't seen you in a while. Like, what you been up to? Yeah, no, that was really cool. Like, just the fucking Awakened Translating Board. Super fucking cool. I love seeing technology mixed with magics. It's so good.
Did you mention the laptop at the end?
Oh, I don't know if I did.
Because where did that come from? Who? What? How?
A mention of the AVR, and this was our first thing because the way that a lot of the other references, like, he uses, it makes it sound like the person he's telling the story to might not know those references. But the AVR, that's the line when he's like, the monologue I was talking about earlier, where he's like, oh, maybe you want a story like about like Linji, who sailed the world without an AVR, and he doesn't like comment on how that might sound weird, which makes us think this is First of the Sun, and then there's another thing that made us think that, which I'll get to in a minute, but Midnight Essence! Midnight Essence! That's another one that I was like, oh, okay. Like, just okaying my way to the top.
Everything is fine, okay?
Like, literally, I mean, it was really, really cool seeing the Midnight Essence. Also, like, seeing Tress control it was fun. Very, very fun. But it was just like, oh my god, like, I'm just flashing back to, like, everything I've seen and know about Midnight Essence from Stormlight, and I was like, oh, this is Aether-related. Interesting! My brain hasn't gone beyond that to really think of all those implications yet. There's
so much happening there.
We have Hoyd literally reference the shattering and the killing of Adonalsium. We have, like, him being like, yeah, like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard of, and I was a plan with a plot to kill God. Like, and then something about, like, oh, like, you know, I did that with 16 other people, and, like, oh, it's like when he's talking about, like, how when you tell people, like, oh, this is for your own good, I'm doing this for your own good. And then he was like, yeah, I said that with 16 other people, which sounds like, you know, when they made the pact to kill Adonalsium, it was for his own good. Hers, theirs, I don't know. Is what they thought at the time, and clearly sounds like they were wrong by the implication of that sentence, obviously. We mentioned death with nails in his eyes, and I'm just... Marsh,
what you doing,
Where you been? What are you doing? Babes, what you got going on? Where you been?
Why are you on this planet?
Yeah, like, has he been to this planet? Has he just been to enough places that, like, a tale of him has spread enough to, like, get into different cultures across different planets as, like, the embodiment of death? Like, what the fuck is going on there? I love it. Also, if this is as far into the future as I think it is, like, Marsh Baby, you still around? Because love that.
I hope so.
Please.
Did, like, maybe, like, Art from Mistborn, like, get here? Did Ulam do something? Ulam, I'm looking at you. What did you do?
Ulam, I'm looking at you. What'd you do? Yeah. We got the mention of light weaving. Is that the one that, like, viscerally...
That was the one that, like, viscerally... Because it's mentioned so casually in the sentence, too.
Although, the thing... It does make more sense for light weaving to be mentioned casually because we have different forms of light weaving throughout the Cosmere.
Yeah. We have... like... And then the light weaving vanished off of... And I was like, the what?
The what now?
I almost yelled, but we were on video chat, and I was like... holding it in.
There were several moments, I know there was one where I, like, literally threw my head back and I was like, ah!
Yeah.
And then I was like,
sorry. Just had a moment.
I had a moment. I mean, like, the awakened golden metal men. We haven't seen those before anywhere recently. Sure.
Not recently. Vasher, this is all your goddamn fault. Pretending it's not happening.
I love Vasher just, like, being just la 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 la. This is not my problem. That's like things that have stemmed from things he's done.
That scene in Spider-Man where Stan Lee is just, like, dancing with headphones on and there's a fight happening behind him. That's Vasher right now.
Literally, that's Vasher. I love it. Yeah, we have the big bad sorceress. She's an Elantry, and she's specifically, we see her in Secret History. She's from Secret History. And she takes off in a rocket ship. Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah, and then the other thing that made us think that this is First of the Sun, which there's a moment when like he casually mentions like people coming down in spaceships and stuff. Also, there's like a reference to like the voices inside of spaceships. So are we getting like Cosmere AI soon? Which like seems very probable because like you just put a fucking spread in a ship. Give anything some investiture and it's sentient. So like I'm not surprised by that, but it still seems very cool.
Very cool.
I'm very excited for Cosmere AI stuff in the future. But if you've read Six of the Dusk, you know that does take place in the future of the Cosmere. And if you have read the like uncanon snippet of the first or the Six of the Dusk sequel, I don't remember what it's called, but if you've read that, it's online somewhere. You know 100% why I think this is on First of the Sun.
That Hoyt is telling the story to someone.
Yes, that he is telling someone the story to someone from First of the Sun, that they're on First of the Sun when he's telling the story, probably. And that was all the notes I had. Final thoughts? I loved it. Like, no complaints. My only complaint is, like, I wanted to see more of the world, but that's not, like, really a complaint. Like, I get we couldn't. I get that we couldn't, so, like, I'm fine with it, but, like, I would like more. Just, like,
I do
there
wish...
wasn't even an Ars Arcanum. Like, give me an Ars Arcanum or something for the world.
The one thing I do wish is that I wish it wasn't so easy as the Emerald Sea and then the Crimson Sea. Like, I wish there was something in the middle that they also had to get through.
Yeah, like, it wasn't like, oh, the exact path I have to go on is perfectly lined up. But I get that there's, like, also not time to, like, go through. Yeah. It would have been like more. See, if we had at least had to like go like a little bit of ways, like just like literally like a day's worth of journey through like a different sea to get to then be able to like get into Crimson or whatever, or like same with Midnight, like the fact that like it seemed like they were just like lined up. And again, like I wish we had like a map so we could see how the seas and the like where all the islands are. Like I wish we could see that.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Isaac, give me a map.
Isaac, please.
Isaac, please. I loved everything about this book. I think it was so fun, so charming. The story, like the style of it, it's like so good. Like I cannot wait to reread it. And this is one I think I'm gonna reread a ton. I mean, that's not saying much for me in the Cosmere, but like, still, that's all I got for you. It was perfect.
It was so good.
10 out of 10. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's our review for Tress of the Emerald Sea. If you've read it, let us know in the comments what your thoughts were. Remember, if you've got spoilery thoughts, to like kind of put them down a bit. So if anybody's coming here who hasn't like really read it yet, they can watch the first like 2 minutes safely and not see those. Yeah, let us know how excited you are for the next secret project. We'll probably do little reviews like this for each of them. The next one we're going to get is not a Cosmere book though, but we'll still probably do a review for it because I am excited.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Life Before Death Radiance.
Life Before Death Radiance. Bye!
This desk saved my life. This is where they were written, the words that kept me alive.